Okay. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the June 17th. Ooh, that's loud. Meeting of the Woods Hole Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket Steamship Authority. As we get underway here, I've got a couple of announcements. I'd like to inform everyone that Falmouth Community Television, also known as FCTV, and Sean Driscoll, the authority's communication director, are making audio and video recordings of today's meeting. If anyone else is making an audio and or video recording of today's meeting, please identify yourself by pressing the raise your hand icon on the Zoom dashboard, or if you are joining by telephone, by pressing *9 on your keypad. And when you are recognized, please state your name for the record. Okay, Louisa,
Louisa Huffstatter, the Vineyard Gazette.
thank you. Abigail?
Sorry, Devin Ankeny, Falmouth Enterprise.
Oh, Devin, hello. And Unki,
Unki Sonu, MV Times.
thank you. I think we're good. Okay, pursuant to Section 20 of Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, as amended, board members Jim Malkin, Maura Tierney, and Peter Jeffrey are participating remotely in today's meeting because their physical attendance today would be unreasonably difficult. Misters Malkin and Jeffrey and Ms. Tierney are participating in the meeting by the Zoom video conferencing app, and all members will be clearly audible to each other. You all can hear us?
Yep.
Yes.
Beautiful. As a
Yes.
result of these members' remote participation in this meeting, any and all votes taken by the members today shall be by roll call vote. The first order of business is the approval of minutes from the authority's May 15th, 2025 joint meeting with the Port Council in public session. Do we have a motion on this?
I make a motion.
Mr. Jones has made a motion
I'll
to
second.
accept the minutes. Mr. Malkin, it sounds like seconded. All in favor by roll call? We'll do this alphabetically.
Jeffrey, I.
Malcolm, I.
Jones, I.
Sorry.
Randy, aye.
Tierney, aye.
The minutes are approved. Next, we have the Port Council's report on their June 3rd, 2025 meeting, and I see Mr. Carr in attendance.
Morning, Mr. Rainey.
Morning.
Nice to see everybody. Just provide a brief update on our Port Council meeting on the 3rd. I stepped in Nat's absence to run the meeting, which is why you're seeing me today. We received an update on both the Aquina and the Monomoy, similar to the one that you will all be receiving shortly on your agenda. I believe the Aquina's in-service date is scheduled for tomorrow, so that'll be a big day. And the Monomoy, you'll get the update on the progress being made there. We did get an update similar as you will on the Woods Hole Terminal project, as well as an update from Allison Fletcher on some of the measures that they're looking into in Woods Hole. I think lessons learned from the nor'easter that came through recently, and how to manage operations and functions at the terminal under construction during weather events like that. We also got excellent updates on the safety quality management system process and on the Trade Expo. I think Ms. Sullivan will be giving you all an update in detail on that. And then we also had the opening hearing on the offshore tug and transportation license application for recycling service from Nantucket through the Port of New Bedford. Terry Keneally kind of laid that whole process out. We did hear from Robert B. Auer, the project proponent, had a good preliminary discussion, and Terry then laid out the ongoing process of staff review and then ultimate review by both the port council and the board on that application. Happy to talk about that a bit more if there are questions or during the time when it's on your agenda. And then finally, we've got the business summary from Mark Rozum on the regular monthly update on all things going on the finances side. And while that was short, the meeting was pretty substantive. So hopefully this is my first report to all of you. So don't know whether you wanted more or less detail, but that's what we covered on the 3rd.
Thank you, sir. Any questions for Mr. Carr? Hearing none, we appreciate your report. Thank you.
Good.
Moving on, we have the general manager's report. Good morning, Mr. Davis.
Good morning, everyone. So first, just to point out the staff that's in the room here with us. So besides myself, Sean Driscoll, Mark Amundson, Terrence Keneally, Mark Rozum. And then in the audience, we have Allison Fletcher, Todd Falvey, Janice Kennefic, Stephen Coleman, Bridget Sullivan, Sean Cameron, Ian Nichols, Rich Marshall, and I would like to point out Elaine Mooney. Elaine is the Nantucket terminal manager, and unfortunately, she has decided to retire in the next couple weeks. And we want to wish her well and thank you for her, 37 years of service? 35? Okay. So thank you very much. And I don't know whether if I missed anyone, raise your hands. I guess I got them all. All right. So the first item we have is an update on a brief update on the Equinor and the Monomoy. And I believe Zach Lawrence is ready to provide that update.
Good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Morning, Zach.
So I'll begin with the Monomoy update. The Monomoy is still down in Alabama Shipyard in Mobile, Alabama. Still completing hull blasting. The picture of the bow here with all the coatings removed, ready for her paint schedule. This next slide is photos of the one of the forward bow thrusters and the stern thruster. They coated the tunnels ahead of the installation of the gear units, and presently all the photos are a little dated, but all of the blades are now hung on all 3 thrusters. This is a photo here of the stern ramp installation. It's received all of its coatings. And here we have a photo. This is the stern of the vessel where we're doing some steel renewals on the port and starboard side. There was some corrosion found where the keel coolers are installed for the main engines and the stern thruster. So we, based on some UTs that we took, we went ahead with the renewals now. Also in the center, you can see where we've gone ahead and we've removed the original skeg, and we're doing a skeg extension. If we go to the next slide, Sean. So here's a photo of the new skeg extension. So the total length of the extension is 13 feet, but the differential between the original and the new is 9. If we go to the next slide. So there was an analysis done of the original skeg and the new skeg extension. And what you can see in the before, there's the areas of darker colors, the purple and reds. That's negative pressure and turbulence. What we found with our low speed maneuvering from the captains is that it could be improved. So with the skeg extension afterwards, you can see that the darker colors, the negative pressure is greatly reduced. And so we're hoping with that, it will, instead of stealing thrust from the propellers before it makes its way to the rudders, that will gain that thrust back for better low speed maneuvering below 5 knots. Here we have a photo of the bridge console. It's been installed and they've started to pull cabling now and begin putting the wheelhouse back together. This is a photo of the starboard exhaust stack. The holes on the right-hand side of the photo, that's where the louvers will be installed when they're ready. So some milestones: the bulwark and stern is complete. The mid-body is complete. Removal, vessel undocking, presently 15th of August. Stability test, the 20th of August, and sea trials are to be determined. And so just to speak to the vessel undocking date, that slipped due to the undocking schedule of the Dredge Wheeler that Alabama Dry Dock has currently in their dry dock. And so once that docking is complete, the dry dock will be available to put the Monomoy back in the water. And for the financial snapshot for the project, Aquina, Barnstable, and Monomoy, payments made to date, 72.2 million. Outstanding commitments and allowances are at 10.2 million, and a current project estimate at 84.1 million. With that, I'll take any questions.
Questions for Mr. Lawrence? Hearing none, thank you for your report.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Zach. So next up is an update on the Woods Hole Terminal Reconstruction Project. All right, so an aerial view of the site as of a couple of weeks ago. So for the terminal building, the roof decking has been completed. It's the tongue and groove portion of it. They'll be placing plywood. They're in the process of placing plywood on top of that now, along with the gutters to make that watertight. Next, we have the waterproofing is being installed on the exterior concrete walls, and that's nearing completion. Next. And they've been working on creating the rebar and the forms that are necessary for the plaza, for the walkway or the terrace around the building on the north and west elevations. Next. For the utility building, the interior sheetrock installation on the second floor is progressing. It's pretty close to being done at this point. Next. Just showing that some of the finished work that's being done on the drywall. Next. So the electricians are continuing to wire, including the fire alarms and all the electrical. I think next slide. It shows that a lot of activity going on in this building. And then next. So the window framing was the rough framing for the windows on the second floor has begun, but they were using those openings to bring in the equipment. You'll see, I think, on the next slide, where they were using the Genie. This shows the the lift that they were using to move the equipment in through the windows. Next. And then the equipment starting to be installed in the mechanical rooms. Next. And continuation of that. So that particular room has the water and the heater for that for the utility building. Next. So I'll have to go to this. So to date, well, I guess let me just follow up on a couple other things. So at this point, we have the terminal building roof installation should be completed in July. There is an additional pour of the slab for the terminal building. Thus far, they've poured about 3 feet of the slab. There's another 3 to 3.5 feet of concrete that needs to be poured on the interior of the terminal building. That's scheduled for the middle of July. Should take place over 1 day, and it's you know, it's going to be about 80 truckloads, and we're coordinating with working with the contractor to have police details and escorts, and to minimize any impact on our operations, keeping it within the construction zone. The granite cladding installation on the utility building is nearing completion. They'll be getting to the point where they're installing the metal on the second floor. There's a metal siding on the second floor of the utility building. Colantonio is about 50% complete with the contract at this point. Just under $843,000, or about 2.6% of the construction contract for change orders at this point. They do expect the utility building substantial completion to be done by December. And then for the terminal building, they're targeting by the end of May 2026. So, one of the things with this project, with the delays that we had earlier on in terms of selecting a terminal design and the location, one of the things that we did look at had been to coordinate the building of the utility building and the terminal building in such a manner that it minimizes and shortens the time frame for the overall construction. So by doing this, we made the decision that we were going to be allowing constructions on these buildings to continue through the summer season, but the premise was that they had to have all the major pieces of equipment. We're not bringing any major pieces of equipment in during the summertime. So it's just interior work that will need to be done, and they'll stay within the construction zone. So by doing that, the estimate that we had was that it was going to shorten the overall construction of this phase of the project by 18 months. So it is a construction site, portions of the terminal is a construction site. We have to adapt in some regards on a daily basis, but the terminal manager works with the contractor and our PMs that are on site to minimize that. Allison has been working with the terminal manager in terms of trying to hire some additional personnel for traffic control and to get that, and whether it's going to be additional people or overtime. We're still working through that to make sure that we try to make it as accessible and safe as a process as possible. So, and one final thing, we've now sent out 280 emails in total for the construction of this, the overall construction of the property. If anyone has any questions?
Mr. Jeffrey.
Yes, I mean, we're in the process of hiring additional people. It's June 17th. It's a little late. in terms of trying to mitigate and control the traffic. Pathways are still poorly marked. People are poorly directed. We're lucky we haven't had an accident yet involving a car or a pedestrian or construction vehicle on that site. And traffic, despite, trying to get details there, has been an abomination on Woods Hole Road. Have we even considered, pausing construction then between July 1st through the end of Labor Day? Because whatever we're doing doesn't seem to be working correctly. And what would be the cost of that and the delay in terms of construction?
So in terms of it, the work zones would remain. So we wouldn't be picking up anything by pausing construction at this stage. Again, with the exception of the concrete pour that has to be done, all the major pieces of equipment will have been done here going into the summertime. So I know we've been working with hiring additional details to help with traffic control down there. We're working on making sure that we get the traffic booth to be able to keep the traffic moving, to get them off the road and onto the property.
But I guess my question then is, when will we have those additional details hired? How many will they be? And when will we have the traffic booths fully staffed and operating? I mean, trying isn't enough. I mean, we're dealing with the traffic issues now, where we do have quite a bit of pathway issues. It's impossible to know, which direction you should go if you're a pedestrian on or off there. And, the traffic has been backed up dramatically. I mean, are we even looking at trying to schedule our construction deliveries to be at the time we have low volume on the vessels? I mean, those are all things that I think we should be doing, and it appears that we're trying to do things, but we're not actually implementing anything with a real strategic vision to mitigate these issues.
So we have been hiring additional details, and I know that the Falmouth Police have been picking up a number of those details on site as part of the requirements for the contractor. For instance, when they're going to be bringing the concrete down, they're supposed to be having a detail for that as well. So we're looking to where we can to be able to add details to the ones that we typically have scheduled to maintain the construction. Once the contractors are on site in the beginning of the morning, there isn't, a lot of, construction related traffic coming down the street, with the exception of a delivery here or there. So, but we'll continue to work with Colantonio to try to minimize any disruptions that we can.
Mr. Malkin?
Thank you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Peter beat me to the question. I guess my follow-up to Peter's points are, when do we have a date when we should have these additional details and measures in place? How many people are we talking about hiring, and at what hours? And then my third question is, we've talked a lot about staging vehicles up at Palmer and then bringing them down, so keeping them off of Woods Hole until there's actually space on the boats, which became an issue over Memorial Day. Where are we on the whole staging issue, which I know is something that Mr. Salido has been talking about for about 1.5 years now?
Yeah. So I'll let Allison respond.
So in regards to hiring, we are currently looking at hiring at the minimum 2 new dock workers. Their positions would solely be to help with the crossing and being stationed at the crosswalk. During the day, except for 2 days a week, we actually have a bus coordinator down there already. So they'll be helping him out too with directing passengers and people. So, and we're just waiting for them to find the applicants and get them paperwork done and get them in. So.
Allison, what about staging?
We've been looking at potentially off-site staging for when we have another situation like we did back on Memorial Day. It's a long time ago now. We are looking at doing off-site staging at Katomet and then having them shuttle down in stages when we need them to be on the property. So for a situation like that, the night before, when everybody's still sitting on the property, we'll give them directions to report right away to Katomet first thing in the morning. We'll have a dock worker up there to be able to check them in and get them lined up. They'll call down, or the terminal will call up when they need X amount of vehicles on the property to start filling in when we have spaces to start moving customers, and we'll be doing it that way. We're also going to look at utilizing the highway sign and the website, as well as the notification programs that we have.
As a follow-up, why are we using Katomet and not Palmer?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. What was that?
I'm sorry. As a follow-up, why are we using Katomet for the staging area rather than Palmer, which is considerably closer? And the reason I ask is if it's closer, the transit times will be shorter and the disruption to schedules of the vessels with
Because right now we don't have enough spots at the Palmer Avenue lot to be doing that in. We have been looking at TBL or Thomas Landers on the off shot that we are not utilizing it as much, but Katomet is the one lot that we have that we can have readily access to that has no vehicles in it on a regular basis.
Okay, not to push this too much, Allison, but isn't it possible that we could put more regular spots up at Katomet and leave Palmer open for more vehicles?
That would be a staffing issue as well with buses, but that is definitely something, but unfortunately with the storms, we don't know when they're going to be happening until a day or two beforehand, if they're going to be much of a disruption. So, but it is definitely something we can look into.
Thank you.
By having parking out at the Katomet lot, it stretches our bus personnel out because it takes that much longer to get out to the Katomet lot. They have to go out to the Rotary and come back down on 28A for it. So, again, I think this is on the basis that if there's a storm event, this would be the plan to be able to have a central location that could accommodate, the number of vehicles. No other questions or? Okay. Next, I'd like Bridget Sullivan to come up and provide an update on our safety quality management system.
Thank you for inviting me to the table, and good morning.
Good morning.
Next slide, please. Earlier this year, Roger Leak, our third-party internal auditor, completed our SQMS audit. This audit included all vessels in operation in various shoreside locations. Shoreside locations were selected to mirror the ISO 9001 audit that will happen later this year, and all vessels that were in operation. Next slide, please. In total, we had 12 findings, and with respect to time, I'll only discuss the major nonconformities. First, I quote, "Corrective actions are being done outside the formal system. The formal system requires documentation of findings, corrective actions, and verification of corrective actions. This is an administrative challenge, which we are already addressing with a platform called ReadyOp, and the implementation of tablets to assist in timely reporting. We now have 9 unique reports that are incident focused. All vessels have been issued these tablets, and all captains have access to the reports on their tablets and workstations, and we hope to roll this out to the terminals and other locations in the fall. Huge shout out to our MIS department, Stephen, Sean, and Andrew, for their support with this project. I recently received some feedback I'd like to share from Senior Captain Norman DeBarros. I quote, "Thank you. These are a great asset to the authority. Job well done." Next, sorry. And the second major nonconformity, identified a gap within the learning management system. I quote again, "A number of personnel have open training requirements, some of which date back to 2020. Overall, the team is still in the process of evaluating the findings and determining root causes and implementing corrective actions as needed. Next slide, please. Here we have a graph depicting how our internal audits compare over the years. It's important to note that ISO 9001 audits are sample audits, meaning that different locations were also captured. This year, the focus was the Hyannis end and Nantucket. Last year, the focus was the Falmouth end and Vineyard Haven OB. As our data grows, I will present the data on how our locations compare on the annual audits. This data simply represents the findings as the locations are varied. Next slide, please. With that, we are anticipating audits conducted by our recognized organization, RENA. Unfortunately, due to business needs and scheduling conflicts, the ISM document of compliance and MV Barnstable interim have been postponed. We hope to do that within the coming weeks with the interim for the MV Aquina. And our ISO 9001 audit is expected this fall. Any questions?
Questions from the board? Not hearing any. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere.
Oh, don't go anywhere.
So next up, staff just wanted to provide a brief update on the 2025 Spring Training and Development Expo that was conducted. And
Excellent.
Bridget has an update.
Here to stay. Thank you again. We have completed our 6th semi-annual expo, largest ever, with a total of 19 total training and development offerings. The Expo is an excellent example of our continual improvement here at the authority, undergoing many name changes and ownership. And I'd like to do a big shout out to the communications team for designing the banners and developing our Expo motto, Invest, Educate, Elevate. Next slide, please. As mentioned, there were 19 offerings that were offered during the past Expo. Some are staples within the Expo itself, such as customer service, oil spill, OSHA 10, others such as fall arrest, bloodborne pathogens, personal security considerations are added based on department head needs. Next slide, please. This slide represents both participation year over year and the total classes. As you can see, we had a bit of a drop this year, the cause of which is still being evaluated by management. We do have a meeting scheduled later this month to discuss what may have impacted this slight drop. Next slide, please. And as with participation dropping, so did those who took the survey. This too will be discussed and elevated. Continual improvement is a focus that provides us with another opportunity for improvement on how to gather and receive feedback, but just trying to express that we are asking for feedback, but we are encountering challenges. Thank you. Any questions?
Questions from the board?
Just to comment. Mr.
Go ahead.
Rainey,
Go
I
ahead.
just wanted to tell Bridget that her enthusiasm is contagious and her presentation was right on point, short, succinct, and just well done. Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate your feedback.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, we just wanted to provide an update on the hearing that was conducted for a license request from Offshore Tug and Transportation LLC, and I'll turn it over to Terry.
Hi, good morning. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, great. So if folks recall, back in December of 24, we sold the Gayhead and the Katama to Offshore Tug and Transportation, which is an offshoot of the Robert B. Auer Group. Following that sale of the vessels, we then received earlier this year a request for a license to operate those vessels under the licensing policy that we have to move freight from New Bedford to and from New Bedford. The first request incorporated some consideration for both islands, both Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. And then as we corresponded and discussed the potentials of this, Offshore, I'm going to continue to do that, but because we do that all the time. But in any event, Robert Auer pivoted and said they wanted to focus on moving recyclables from here on the island of Nantucket. So then we went back and we fulfilled the basic requirements of the licensing policy, or at least the initial requirements of the licensing policy. Published a notice for a hearing, and then we conducted that hearing several weeks ago now. At the hearing, Abby Rose, who's here in attendance today, she did a great job of answering the questions that folks had, or particularly myself. It was a relatively brief meeting. We had about a dozen or so people on a Zoom participating in the hearing. There was no questions asked. So then what we did was we set it for the agenda on the Port Council, which is Gordon mentioned during his presentation, that we had I think a fairly lively discussion about it and the potentials of it and what the details were. So now at this point, because we have this opportunity today on Nantucket, we wanted to bring it forward to the board to get their thoughts on it, and whatever preliminary thoughts they had. And let's hear from Rob and Moira perhaps on because it's their ports that are being mentioned in the service requirement, and anybody here from the island of Nantucket to give us an idea of what thoughts they have. And like I said, Abby's here along with Mike, correct, Mike, from offshore to answer any questions. So really, this is just another opportunity to be heard and discuss and give people an opportunity to talk about it. So that's what I have for right now.
And I don't know whether you'd like to say a few words before. Okay.
Abby, you can come to the table, or you can use the microphone, whatever you prefer, whatever's more comfortable for you. Okay.
I'm definitely short of
Right
notice,
into
so
the
I can
mic,
tell you
yeah.
that much. All right, I'm Abby Rose of Offshore Tug and Transportation, Robert P. Hour. As you know, we submitted a proposal to move proposed freight off island, recyclables, large scale overload, equipment and machinery to and from Nantucket to our port in New Bedford. We presented proposed 3 different timeframes that we thought would fit in with the steamship's active schedule to operate 2 to 3 days a week. Does anybody have any questions for me?
I do, Rob.
I think Moira has
Moira.
Oh, Ms. Tierney, go ahead.
Is it my understanding that that could potentially include passengers?
No, ma'am. The only passengers that we would accommodate are the riders with the vehicle.
And where exactly is your facility?
We have a facility on Herman Melville Boulevard.
Is that separate and distinct from the Foss facility?
Correct.
That's it. My only question. Has this been run by the city of New Bedford by any chance?
Yes, we have had discussions with the port.
With Gordon Carr?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Malkin.
Thank you, Rob. Abby, could you tell me why the initial application to do the same type of thing from Martha's Vineyard was withdrawn? That's question 1. And question 2, you're talking about recyclables. Are you talking about septic? Are you talking about sewage? Are you talking about other types of waste?
Okay, so I'll answer question 2 first. So as far as recyclables, it's plastics, it's tires, it's C&D waste, it's TVs, air conditioners, stuff like that. We are not intending to transport septage. The first question was Martha's Vineyard. We presented our initial package to accommodate Martha's Vineyard and Nantucket. In early discussions with Mr. Canali, we made the decision to focus on one island, kind of get our feet under us, if you will, before we reapproach the Martha's Vineyard route.
Thank you.
But we are not opposed to doing both.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
We've had the opportunity to hear Abby and company at the Port Council meeting. And Robert Hour is known all over Cape Cod, and he's also known on Nantucket and obviously, New Bedford and what, it's a big operation. I learned that they've actually done a lot more business than I knew about on Nantucket. We don't get involved too much with the aggregate and the barging and things of that nature. I mean, staff runs that, and we only get to hear about this when there's have to spend $200,000-300,000 to dredge it out for spillage and things of this nature. But coming from Hyannis, like Woods Hole, our concerns are, is traffic. And anything that will alleviate, the traffic going through Hyannis is going to be a plus. And for years, last several years, everything is New Bedford. Send it to New Bedford. Send it to New Bedford. That's all we hear. Every meeting, every hearing, and things like that. Well, now it's being sent to New Bedford, so that takes care of one of the problems.
Potentially.
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 She said potentially.
Well, okay. Well, whatever the potential is, we'll find out what the reality is here pretty quick. So, in any event, for myself, speaking, as a board member, that I'm going to be speaking in favor of this. I'm going to just add as an addendum, not to my vote, but the fact is that I think we've got to get put an agenda item on and completely revisit the use of that the end dock there in Nantucket here, and our pricing and everything else. But for this particular moment here, that when you call for a vote, I'm voting in favor.
Mr. Malkin.
Thank you. One further follow-up question on this, and Mr. Jones touched on it a bit. There are currently, as to my understanding, a number of entities in Nantucket that service Nantucket, and backhaul is very important to them. Will this impact those operations at all?
Our intent is to not impact any of the small local haulers. Currently, the town of Nantucket has a overabundance that they can't remove from island, as well as our own needs within our company of the transportation we do back and forth to the island. So I don't anticipate any changes to the current local haulers.
Thank you. I guess my question is actually more for Terrence Keneally on that one, or Bob Davis.
Well, thanks, Jim. So I think one of the things that we have to do is take the next step, which is get the feedback from the community, which is what we're doing, and then put that into the calculus. Bob and I intend to be meeting with the DPW here in Nantucket to get some feedback from them with regards to what their concerns are and the need for this service. I mean, historically, I think backhauling it's always better to have things coming off island as well as going to the island, because again, it's just better use of our capacity and our space. So that's definitely a consideration that we have. And that's one of the things that we have to look to work with every vendor and every hauler that can provide service to our customers. We have to look at that and evaluate that. So I think we intend to do that and maybe break down the numbers a little bit more. And again, the data will tell us what to do.
Thank you.
Mr. Jeffrey.
Guess a question and a thought. I mean, the question is, when will you revisit whether or not to offer this type of service and approach the board again as to hauling from Martha's Vineyard?
So our hope was, like I said, to start with Nantucket, kind of get our feet under us. If there's a desire to accelerate a Martha's Vineyard route, then we would be happy to start that discussion sooner rather than later.
I can tell you, though, there's a desire from Woods Hole.
Well, I think, Peter, on that point, just so I can, Abby mentioned it kind of just flowed out of, there was a more defined opportunity, I think, at this point on Nantucket is what happened. And again, it was just kind of in the infancy of this discussion as how best we could roll this out. So there wasn't a preference for one island over another. I don't want to give that connotation at all, but it was just simply the DPW is a big driver of this from Nantucket. So if there's interest on Martha's Vineyard and there's folks there that want to have a discussion about it, send the request in just like Abby did, and we can talk about it. I mean, that's the whole purpose of the licensing policy, and whether Robert Ara can work their way into that or how this affects 41 North. Again, this is just a matter of having a discussion and trying to get a vetting of what the issues are. Because again, as you know, this is a very complicated situation. The steamship has been talking about freight service from New Bedford for now decades. And, we want to get it right, but we want to make sure that we have all the data correct.
Understood. And I guess my thought is that if they've seemed to find a way to make the economics work here with Nantucket, I would wonder if we should look at the Steamship Authority. How can we make this work even with if not with our own vessels, to offer some freight service for things that aren't just in time? Because you can't tell me that removing recycling is a just in time freight necessity. Should we be exploring, as the Steamship Authority, contracting with a third party to deal with some of our freight?
Right.
Can I, Mr. Barnes, morning.
Good morning, Curtis Barnes. I did not come to speak about this, but I will. As a water commissioner, and I'm not speaking for the commission, but for myself, I want to tell you that the Robert B. Auer Company is essential to what's going on here on Nantucket. We're putting in all new sewers, we're putting in water, and we need the ability to bring that material over here on a timely basis. So the Robert B. Auer Company is doing a great job. They're part of the community, and I would strongly support their application for this service. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I do that? Yeah. Mary Longacre from online.
Good morning. It was reported by the news media, at least this is my understanding, that the town has not requested the service or has not participated in the design of the service. And I wonder, is there anybody there from the town, in particular the DPW chief or the town manager, who can speak to the town of Nantucket's interest and participation in this? Because I think that should be a key factor for the Steamship Authority to consider as to whether the market already exists or it's hypothetical. And I want to thank Mr. Malkin and Mr. Jeffrey for their comments about the backhauling and the possible alternatives.
Thank you, Mary.
So Mary, I can take that, Bob. Mary, we did get an email that was forwarded by Abby and Robert Auer from the DPW manager. I believe it was, I forgot the gentleman's name, but
Yes, it was Chris Lowe, the solid waste manager for the
Solid
town of
waste
Nantucket.
so there, we did get that inquiry, and that was one of the things that, we're going to follow up with, and hopefully Bob and I are going to be meeting with them and perhaps have Rob there as well to talk about this in more detail. Why don't you go to the mic, Brian? Can you come, because there's people on the Zoom, Brian.
I currently haul all your recyclables, all your tires, and all your stuff. I go where they tell me to go. But has the town figured out how expensive it's going to be to take this stuff to New Bedford? Has analysis been done of the cost of this? That's where I want to go with it. Does anybody know that?
I haven't seen an analysis for that.
All right, so right now, when somebody hauls a barge in Nantucket, from what I understand, you pay the steamship authority's fees, and then you pay the barge fees. Somebody told me that they're trying to dissolve paying the steamship authority's fees, or are those going to be involved in it? Because they just had a screw up out there where they hauled something out of there and it cost them $25,000 more. Now, I'm not saying that's what you guys are. And do you plan on having your own trucks, or do you plan on using my trucks?
We plan on using both, frankly, sir. I mean, we haul a considerable amount of aggregate and
Mhm.
materials and equipment now with our own vehicles,
Okay,
right? And our own trucks.
right.
So, like I said earlier, I don't, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's
Okay, so we haul a considerable amount of aggregate, material, large equipment to and from this island, utilizing our own assets now.
Mhm.
I don't anticipate that portion changing. However, our goal is not to hurt anybody else, and it's not to take over what anybody else is already doing, right? A barge service, the boat service for us is a way of us also streamlining what we're doing in-house while also offering additional service to fill the gap.
Mhm.
It's not to take over what anybody else is doing.
Uh,
And just to be frank, there's been no discussion about the fee structure yet or us not paying a fee.
Because somebody had told me there was, and that's why I'm asking.
No, not yet.
The other thing is, do you really think Nantucket,
Can you move up to,
the
sorry.
other thing is, do you really think the Nantucket terminal can accommodate another boat? And have you even thought about, one of the captains told me, if you quad crew the Barnstable, you could do an extra trip a day and keep this going. But there's too much what ifs. And I mean, and like you said, there has been no talk about structure or anything like that. But I will tell you right now, when they see what it's going to cost, if there isn't something done with the structure, it's going to hurt the town of Nantucket.
So with respect to all of that, Brian, and the current situation is, this is really in its infancy. It's really initial discussions about what the possibilities are. Again, one of the primary purposes of the licensing policy is to look at the demands that the islands have and to meet those demands. And if there are demands that for some reason the Steamship Authority is not meeting them, then we have to look at alternatives, and perhaps those alternatives do come from private, operators like Highline and so forth. No, I understand. So
I'm just asking questions because it
Sure.
affects my life.
yeah, no, that's
Okay.
great. And that's why we're having these discussions. So
I only want 2 more years, by the way, because I'll be 70 in 2 years.
So, I mean, and that's the other thing, so we're trying to be as transparent as we can about the discussion, to try to vet all these things, because again, we're talking about the full breadth of the authority. We're talking about from Nantucket all the way to New
Mhm.
Bedford and
Mhm.
everywhere in between potentially. So again, that's why we're having these talks. So this is all in its infancy. It's all in its initial stages. So any feedback that people have, whether it's yourself or anybody else from the public, they can email Bob or myself, and we put that into the calculus. I think one of the things we have to do, and you mentioned the Nantucket terminal, I think, I mean, that's an issue, because again, we all know how important it is. It has the 2 big boats, it has the 2 slips, one for the big boat, one for the fast ferries that come in primarily, and and everything coming over the bulkhead. So those are all things that we have to talk about and see and evaluate that, because again, maintaining that facility is a big issue. And so we'll have to look at that and what's that cost looking like? And I think Mr. Reese in the back there I think he spoke at the Port Council. I think he has something to say. I don't want to rush you off, but does that help you?
I want to get sit down.
Okay, does that help you though? I mean, hopefully that helps you
I've
out.
got more questions to leave it with other things.
Okay, fair enough. Mr. Reese, you can come up to the microphone, please.
Good morning, and thank you for your, good morning, and thank you for your time.
That's just for the folks in the remote, that's all.
My, just bullet points that I think should be brought up. The steamship currently is going to be in excess of $80 million for 3 new freight boats. We're going to have the most deck space that we've ever had servicing the island. However, for consideration right now, you're thinking about allowing another company to handle some of the freight on Nantucket, which is going to be taking away from the bottom line of the steamship company. With each new boat, we'll just use the Barnstable, but the new 3 boats, there are 2 extra spaces per boat per a one-way trip. And with the 3 boats, the 2 boats making 3 trips a day, compared to last year, you're going to have an extra 24 semi-trailer truck spaces per day. You're dealing with a non-union staff, with union people working on the dock. You people are just getting through some serious negotiations with the union, and I think you're going to have another problem. There are absolutely limited space the way that it's staffed on the steamship. There just is not a lot of space down there on the dock. You're going to be talking about bringing 8 semi trucks down there in between, and trying at the same time to take 8 semis off of the dock. The question would be, are we going to have 16 drivers to turn that truck around, turn that boat around? For the past 25 years, the recycles have moved from the landfill. And if they were to stage it a little bit more in the shoulder seasons, with the amount of stuff that might need to go from the landfill, which has already always left the landfill, with the size of the boats that we have now, you could easily accommodate it. We only have 2 slips on Nantucket. What happens if one of them is damaged by a non-union carrier? Who's liable for it? Who's going to pay for it? If there really is a need for things to go to New Bedford, with the amount of boats you have today, maybe you should be really thinking about that and not giving the service away. I don't know how much some of the Board of Governors realize, but if there's a deficit with this steamship in your charter, the islands pick it up. And that's one of the reasons I'm standing here this morning. You finally have got the boats you need, and you're thinking about giving the service away. I hope you really give a lot of consideration to this. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Mr. Reese.
Thank you. So I guess what I'd add is, at this point, we did already conduct a hearing. The comment period is open until the end of the month. So for those of you in attendance or watching on the Zoom, if you want to submit your written comments or questions to myself at rdavis@steamshipauthority.com, and those will be forwarded to Terrence, and they'll be part of the evaluation as we go forward on this project.
Mr. Falcon.
Thank you. One further question for the applicant. Are you intending this to be a year? Are you committed to this being a year-round service?
We are committed to this being a year-round service. I think what's important also to just step back for 1 second and reinforce is that we already ship a large volume of aggregate and equipment and machinery and material for the island of Nantucket. Predominantly, we're still doing that, right? That's it's helping us build efficiencies within our company. So the added recyclables, if you will, is still not taking away from our main goal is to add efficiencies within our company for freight. So that, as long as we continue to have a robust job over here that requires us to haul equipment and material over, it'd be a year-round service.
Anything more on this? Okay, thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Abby.
Okay.
Thank you, Abby.
And thank you for those who provide comments. Next, I'd like to have Todd Falvey, our Director of Security, come up. He's been working with the Falmouth Fire Department on a memorandum of understanding, and he'll fill you in on it.
Morning, everyone. Oh, can everyone hear me?
Yeah.
Yes.
So I'm just here today to respectfully request authorization from the board to enter into a memorandum of understanding between the Steamship Authority and Falmouth Fire Department, which the MOU delineates procedures and responsibilities regarding maritime firefighting. Approximately 6 months ago, we entered into dialogue with the Falmouth Fire Department to discuss, the intricacies of firefighting on one of our vessels. Obviously, it's very different from firefighting on land. So, we discussed some of the challenges. A number of the items that we did discuss, were our regulations that we're required to have our vessels, were inspected by the Coast Guard. As far as our firefighting equipment is tested, inspected. We also discussed our vessel fire plans and where they would be in the event of a fire on board the vessel. Would basically stage them at a location strategically placed at the terminal in Woods Hole. We've also determined scheduled times to have vessel familiarization tours with the Falmouth Fire Department, to have testing of their equipment and fittings, and see how everything fits together properly, so they can see our spaces and just be familiar with the nomenclature of the vessel. So this is just the second of MOUs that we've established. So we'll hope to establish the second one. We'll also have one established with Hyannis Fire Department. We're looking to also have a third MOU established with jointly with the Tisbury Fire Department and Oak Bluffs Fire Department. And the fourth would obviously be with the town of Nantucket Fire Department as well. So we're just requesting authorization to enter into this MOU. And if there's any questions as well.
Questions and or a motion from the board? Mr. Malkin.
I move to accept the request. I would commend Todd for making this work, and I would hope that we could quickly have similar agreements across all the port communities that we serve.
Is there a second?
I second the motion, and I second Mr. Malcolm's sentiments.
Okay, all in favor by roll call?
Jeffrey, I.
John's aye.
Malcolm, I.
Randy, aye.
Tierney, I.
That is approved.
Thank you. And then Todd can stay.
I guess I'm still here.
So we just wanted to provide an update on a security a drill that we had conducted. And Todd?
Yes, I'd just like to document the ongoing cooperation between the Steamship Authority and the Coast Guard and our first responders, our law enforcement partners. We had a active shooter, active threat exercise aboard the motor vessel Governor. It was very successful. We had several federal, state, and local partners who had done several evolutions of boardings on our vessel. It was very successful partnership. In fact, captain of the port for Sector Southeastern New England, Mimi Moon, had written a letter to the Steamship Authority, to General Manager Robert Davis, just commending the continued cooperation between the Steamship Authority and the Coast Guard and its other law enforcement partners. It's something that we've done in the past, we will continue to do, and we value the safety of our safety and security of our passengers. We will continue to make it a safe travel for all of our customers, and the traveling public, and for our employees as well. So the commitment from law enforcement and other partners is wonderful. And we'll continue that for a long time to come. Any questions?
Questions from the board? Nope. Thank you very much.
I'd just like to thank Todd and Port Captain Paul Hennessy. These are valuable drills that we conduct with the Coast Guard and the other law enforcement agencies, particularly with the Coast Guard, where personnel cycle out on a regular basis. It's great to have these continued, exercises with these agencies. So, again, thank you. And that concludes mine for the time being.
What's next? Personnel matters?
No, we'll go to Treasurer's report.
Oh, the Treasurer and Comptroller's report. Mr. Rozum, good morning.
So here we have the business summary for the month of April. Okay, so, and reminder, all these traffic statistics are one way. So for the month of April, on the Vineyard route, passengers were up 6.4% at just over 9,800 passengers. The Nantucket route was down 4.8%, or just under 2,100 passengers, and both routes combined for the month of April were up 3.9%, or 7,759 passengers. Year to date, we're up 1.9% for both routes combined, and both routes are pretty close, with the Vineyard route being up 2% and the Nantucket route being up 1.4%. Passenger vehicles carried for the month of April. On the Vineyard route, we're up 5.3%, with all categories being up, or just over 1,800 vehicles. On the Nantucket route, we're up as well, 1.4%, or 89 vehicles, with the standard fare autos being in the excursion fare trucks, ironically, being down, with the other two categories being up. For the month of April, for both routes combined, we're up 4.7% at just over 1,900 passenger vehicles. In year to date, we're up 1.8% or just over 2,500 vehicles, in both routes being pretty close to on the percentages increases for year to date. Freight vehicles for the month of April, the Vineyard route was up 1.9%. The Nantucket route was down 1.6%, and overall we're up 0.5%. Year to date, we're also up, ironically, 0.5%, with the Vineyard route being relatively flat and the Nantucket route being up 1.1%. Cars parked for the month of April. The Vineyard route was up 2.3%. Nantucket was up 2.2%. And both routes combined were up 2.2%. Year to date, though, for both routes combined, we are down 2.9% at just over 800 cars parked. Trip summary for the month of April, for both routes combined, we had 14 trips canceled for mechanical, 20 for weather, 6 for traffic, and 6 for crewing. And then you can see in the purple is what our current year-to-date percentages are for each category, and down below in green are what we were last year. So we can see a decrease for the first 4 months on the all the categories outside of the traffic cancellations. And for record, traffic cancellations is if we consolidate trips and don't need it based on demand. Okay, so the financial snapshot for the month of April, we had operating revenues of $10,361,000, which was below budget by $363,000. We had other income of $1.8 million, which was above budget by $633,000, and that's really due to the timing of grant revenue. We had operating expenses of $11,372,000, which was below budget by $232,000. Putting this all together, we had a net operating income for the month of $686,000, which was above budget by $538,000. But year to date, we still have an operating deficit for the first 4 months of $15 million, which is $2.3 million lower than budget. So for the operating revenues, key drivers here is to see the automobile still down below budget, and that's really to do with the standard fare vehicles. Other important to note here is you can see the rent revenue, which includes our rental fees as well for such as the automobiles, but also the big driver on that is the barge revenue. Year to date in this category, we're down 65% compared to last year, or budget, which is driven on last year's statistics, is 644,000. Putting this together for the month of April, as mentioned previously, operating revenue is down 3.4% for the month, and year to date, we're down 1 million to 3.6%. Here we have the operating expenses. So for the month, we were down 232,000. And that's really due to some timing on the maintenance in anticipation of depreciation, as well as fuel. Year to date, the fuel is down 16.2%. We budgeted $3.23 a gallon. It's coming in at $2.48. Year to date, the operating expenses are down 2.6 million at 5.4%. And that's really due to the timing of maintenance expenses with work at the Vineyard Haven Terminal and some work on the vessels. We anticipate to realize those expenses later on in the year. For the month of May, on the Vineyard route, we're down 0.2% or 500 passengers. On the Nantucket route, we're down 0.5% at 288 passengers. And both routes combined, we're down 0.3% or just under 800 passengers. Year to date, we're still up 1.2% for both routes combined. And for vehicles for the month of May, this includes passengers and freight. The Vineyard route was down 1.4%. Nantucket route was up 5.4% and up in every category. And both routes combined were relatively flatter down a total of 79 vehicles. And considering the weather forecasts on the weekend, those it's either forecasted to rain or rain on every Saturday. Those are pretty optimistic numbers for the month of May. So with that, and keep in mind that we did lose a full day of service on Memorial Day weekend as well on the Thursday due to weather. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions anyone has.
Questions from the board? Mr. Malkin?
Yeah, Mark, what do you see in the numbers through May that concerns you?
It's more on the expense side with some of the inflationary items, looking at it. And then we have costs that weren't budgeted. Like we have additional help coming in for traffic at the terminal. But on the revenue side, I'm optimistic. Looking at how we've been going through with the traffic numbers through May, especially considering the weather hasn't been in our favor.
Okay, thank you.
You can walk right in front of Walter. For the Nantucket terminal itself?
Nantucket terminal parking.
We have it combined as Hyannis right now.
Oh.
We don't have it broken out. Right on the
I
slide.
thought I read 48 vehicles paid for the month of May.
Oh, and the Nantucket, there's a small amount of in the parking lot. I don't know the number off the top of my head.
Okay. Is there any reason why we don't charge for parking on Nantucket? Or we don't enforce parking on Nantucket?
There is some rates that we pay, and a lot of it, there's also courtesy. And I don't know, Lane, if you want to talk about the practice on Nantucket, or you want me to? Sorry, and Lane, I apologize about putting you on the spot. It's my going away gift.
Thank you.
I should have waited one more.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No, the parking on Nantucket has always been a problem, which we've talked about, because we have a lot of people that are parking, but we don't have the ability to enforce it. When they come from the High Line in the morning, they take our boat in the afternoon, they come back on the High Line. We're doing freight boats. We have 2 freight boats back to back. We can't stop people and say you need to go inside and pay for parking. So there are a lot of parking. Those High Line will come over, and I know we've talked about it before, how to do it. And we just have not come up with, I mean, you'd have to literally have to have a police officer. I've had people confront me when I've tried to confront them and get in my face and, and say they're not going to pay. And it is a problem. The High Line comes in and there must be 10 to, one day I counted 19 work vans leaving the property after the High Line arrived.
And so it is something that we really could use the revenue and it's just a matter of how to enforce it.
Just one added comment. It's extremely difficult if somebody's going away for a day trip. There's just no parking spots down there. And like I said, a lot of the contractors parked there. I counted 22 people this morning walking off the High Line over to the steamship parking lot and driving away with about 19 vehicles. So
And Walter, correct me if I'm wrong, I don't believe there's any more towing companies on Nantucket anymore. Is that correct?
the only towing company that I know of is AAA. There is one other private company, Nantucket Auto Body, that has tow trucks. Thank you.
I'll add to the towing part of it. I have asked the tow companies if they would come and tow, and they don't want to get involved with it.
Curtis Barnes again. This is my annual visit to talk about parking. Rob knows that. As far as I know, this is the only uncontrolled parking lot in the entire system. Of course, Hyannis has 3 lots with the gates. And my feeling is that we could put a gate in there when you go in. If like Walter and I are going for a day trip to the doctor, I'd be happy to pay $3 or $5 to be able to park. I went over yesterday on the 12:30 and came back on the 5 o'clock, and I barely got the last spot in the short-term parking lot. It seems to me that you could put a control gate in, charge $3 to $5 a day for the day trippers. Anyone who parks overnight past midnight, kick them to $10. And then your contractors who leave their trucks there for weeks during vacation time will have to start paying. There is no reason with the technology available today that you can't put a simple control gate in. You put your credit card in when you go in, you get your ticket, you flash your ticket when you go out, and you put your credit card in, it charges you. That's the way they do it in Boston at all of the conventions. And I think it's high time that we really tried to address it. And I know the gang here has been working very, very hard. The other thing is, by the way, look at all the contractor trucks parked by the shed for the weekend or by the loading area for the weekend. I don't know why the steamship doesn't at least put a ticket on them and say, hey, you're not doing the right thing. It's high time that we gave Nantucket the same opportunity that the rest of the system has. Thank you.
If I may, so if it's okay with the board, we'll work with the operations team, get a proposal to how much it would cost to put an automated system at the Nantucket parking lot and do an analysis, the cost of installing the system versus how much revenue it's expected to generate. Not arguing, sir, but just so that everyone has a full informed information, sir.
My name is Mark Snyder. Mr. Rozum, for some time you've raised concerns about the division and between standard auto fares and excursion fares. And I noticed in your reporting today, the standard fares were really declining on both islands or just the same. And it was the excursion fares that were significantly up, yet the revenue dropped dramatically for cars each month. And I just wanted to raise that as a concern because the rates for standard vehicles are getting quite exorbitant, and that is very important to the seasonal community here. So I just want to raise the concern that the numbers sort of mask the division of how the people are traveling, and the standard cars are going down. I don't know, is that consistent year round or just in these reports?
Last year it was down as well, the standard fare that we saw peak during COVID as people's travel habits and work changed, and a lot of people on the island didn't want to leave the island for, everyone's going to the less metropolitan areas. And then after COVID, people went back to normal. And so we saw the traffic patterns change. Last year, the standard fare was down. This year it's down, but it's not down as much. So we're seeing it more flatlining. At last month's board meeting, we talked about the cost of service, how the excursion fares pay, I believe it's under 30% of what it costs to transport them versus the standard fare pays 100 or more. And that's why I bring that up, is that you have more vehicles traveling who are not covering their cost of service, and the vehicles that are covering their cost of service are not traveling as much, which eventually in the budget it's going to.
Because typically a business will struggle with that.
Yes.
That's a serious long-term issue, I would think.
Yes, it is, sir. And if you're at last month's meeting or watch the video, you can see we gave a breakdown of how many people using the excursion vehicle by island. So for instance, I think the top of my head, it might be approximately 85% of the people in Nantucket use the excursion rate 6 times or less. And then 90% of the people use it less than once a month for the year. And then you have 10% of the people use roughly 20% of the excursion rates in excess of that. In the Vineyard, it's just multiplied by 2. It's 12 and 24. That approximately, like, estimating here on the numbers in front of me, 85% of the people on the Vineyard use the excursion rate 12 times or less.
Okay, thank
So
you.
it's something we are looking in very deeply. And in fact, here on the Vineyard, we had someone who used the excursion rate over a couple people over 200 times in a year. So it's we are looking at the data and we'll be making recommendations on that.
Any other questions for Mr. Rozum? Okay. Procurement.
All right, so the first item we have is a request for authorization to award contract 16-2024. This is the reservation system replacement. And I'd like Mark Rozum, Stephen Coleman, and Tom Ennis to present this.
So as a high level in your package, we have a recommendation for award of contract for the reservation system. Back in December 2024, we sent out RFPs, which later turned into RFRs, request for proposals, which turned to request for responses to 26 vendors. We received 9 submissions from the vendors. And I don't want to get in the way of ruins Tom's slides here. But we had an evaluation group that consisted of 7 members from the Steamship Authority team. On that group was Mark Amundsen, the Chief Operating Officer, Allison Fletcher, the Director of Shoreside Operations, Angela Campbell, our Reservations Manager, from the IT Department, James Ashley, our Senior Network Administrator, Stephen Coleman, our Director of Information Technologies, Kelly Conrad, who was our Data and Financial Analyst, and myself. So what we did is we met as a group individually, reviewed the paper responses, vetted them, met as a group after we reviewed them individually, came to consensus and selected 4 vendors based on the ratings. We had in-person presentations with the software to vet what was written down the response, to make sure the systems actually deliver it, and that had some Q&As, which lasted all day with these various 4 vendors who made the finals. Then after that, we checked the references and had some follow-up Q&As if we had questions for the vendors. We reviewed the financials and came out with a final decision. And before we go with the final decision that the group made for a recommendation, reviewing both the technical aspects, i.e. the software and the company, and the financial aspects over the period of installation, which would start in 2025 through 2030, was a company called Idea of Napoli, Italy. Currently, their software handles 49 million passengers per year and 18 million vehicles. Some of their customers that people know are BC Ferries, Caledonia McRae, which is CalMac out of Scotland, Color Lines out of Norway, to name a few of their vendors. But I'll let Tom tell us how the process worked, and then we'll discuss further.
Great, thanks. I think, well, Mark, I think actually you covered it pretty well in terms of a summary. Okay, all right, so just a few slides to briefly cover some of the information that was shared in the last board meeting, but I'll go through those quickly unless there's questions. But just to circle back, the recommendation, which is on the next slide, from the committee is to, could you advance the next slide? Thanks. is to go with IDEA. As Mark had said, this software meets the vision as defined for the one system as part of the procurement process. The team found that this was overall had a highly advantageous proposal, and as Mark had pointed out, is being used in several large-scale ferries. So met the needs of the, as were stated in the requirements around a single system, a system that is being used by other large-scale ferries, that meets the functional and technical needs, and then also meets the needs in terms of best value. Any questions? So we've got some slides on the evaluation process, but just very quickly, we presented these in the last meeting, that there was a 10-month planning process that went through looking at functionality, looking at the market, coming up with a project cost, and defining the one system vision with the RFR then released in December. And then on the next slide, the evaluation process has taken now at this point almost 5 months, with the vendors having submitted written questions. Those were responded to. The proposals were received in February, and then, as Mark had mentioned, gone through the technical evaluation, the demonstrations, and then a review of both their pricing, their due diligence of their proposals, which brings us to today. So as a reminder, there were approximately 750 specific requirements that were used to support the evaluation, as well as the demonstrations and references. And then on the next slide, this resulted in then a two-step process of the 9 proposals were then reviewed. That resulted in four vendors being asked to come in for demonstrations, and then following the due diligence process leading to the recommended vendor. This is a overall scoring, or I should say, this is an overall summary of the review process. Since I should have used the word scoring, it wasn't a formal scoring process. It was a review process, and the overall rating with IDEA is highly advantageous, and followed by .NET, Keras, and Anchor. Overall, you can see that IDEA was highly advantageous in several of the categories, and in others was deemed more advantageous. And this was done on the 5-point scale that was used. And this is a summary of the pricing. You can see at the top, we've left the overall rating, and then looking at the 5-year contract costs, IDEA came in at just below 5.8 million. As you can see, there was a spread of the pricing, and IDEA fell in towards the center of that curve. And again, the committee found that IDEA represented the best value. So in terms of, this may be a little premature, but assuming that the board accepts the recommendation, the plan would be to go into negotiations with the vendor, and the project itself will continue. There's many different work streams going on with the project. There's as you may recall, this is an enormous change for the Steamship Authority, and so there's a network assessment going on that's going to inform significant investment in hardware, in cabling, And then simultaneously, there's groups working on the commercial experience, the customer experience, looking at where to put, for instance, like the ticket readers. How do we leverage the new system and ensure that the terminals are ready? In addition, this is a major change management project, and so engaging staff throughout this process. And there are multiple teams that have continued to meet, again, on the commercial experience, the customer experience, accounting. There's also a group that's recently come together focused on policy and policy updates.
So before we ask the board for a vote, first I'd like to thank the evaluation group. They spent multiple weeks not only reviewing it independently, but as a group and also with the vendors. I'd like to thank all the vendors who submitted their responses. And especially the ones who came out in person. We were fortunate enough to have a variety of very good vendors to choose from, which was nice. So I'd really like to thank the people involved, and also I'd like to thank Peter. Peter attended all 4 of the in-person presentations. And I don't know, Peter, if you have anything you want to mention.
Well, first, I'd like to second your thanks to the evaluation team. The great amount of investment and commitment on everyone on the evaluation team, in addition to meeting their day-to-day jobs, continuing the operations of the Steamship Authority. I also would like to recognize Mark Rozum for stepping in the interim to take over ownership of this project when we didn't have a COO, and then how smoothly he transitioned to being a co-owner with Mark Admonson. I think the two of you have made a great team, and your leadership was very clear, and how well you cooperated and worked together throughout the 4-day demo period that I got to spend a week watching the steamship operations on a daily basis, as well as thanks to the Gibbous team for kind of technically leading us through this process. I have no reservations as to the recommendation made, and wholly endorse it. I think the board should feel very comfortable with this recommendation. The due diligence that the evaluation team followed, I think should be an example of how we move forward with large-scale procurements of this matter. I think that the evaluation team did a great job, especially with the reference check, as the IT executive steering committee members had brought, I don't want to say some concerns, but questions about the demo process afterwards. And I feel very comfortable with the recommendation they're making. And I look forward to us moving forward to transforming the steamship operations to being a modern-based transportation industry leader. We're now in a position, I think, to do some even more heavy lifting. As Tom pointed out, this is a lot now with change management. And I think one of the positive things too with the vendor that they're proposing is there are several ferry operators, especially the Scottish ferry operator, that can be a good model for us as to how implementation can go, and we can learn from their implementation of this system in terms of how we'll implement it here.
Mr. Chair, I also forgot to mention Peggy Nickerson, our procurement officer. Without this, she did a great job of coordinating this, keeping us on point, reaching out to the vendors, making sure deadlines were met, and I'd be remiss if I didn't thank Peggy. So with that, we're looking for a vote of the board to award this contract to ADEA for just under $5.8 million.
So moved.
Mr. Malkin,
I'll second that, and then I have a question, sir.
go ahead.
Okay, so I seconded this. I know from discussions I've had with individuals involved in the process that it's been an exhaustive process. I know lots of issues have been raised. I wonder if either Peter or Mark could speak to the user experiences of clients who are currently using this. And I don't mean the clients, the software vendor themselves, but I mean people who use these systems in these ferries that deploy the system. So I'd be interested in hearing the summation of the information that you've received, given the fact that we were looking at two highly qualified, at the end, based on the graph, two highly qualified vendors, and ultimately chose one of them. And then my second observation would be the business changes in the business rules and the business practices that we're going to undertake to make this work at the Steamship Authority, work just for the authority as well as for the traveling public, are going to be significant. There'll be a significant change for our workforce and our staff as well as for the traveling public. We are going to need to manage that, and I would look forward to hearing at the next meeting who will be responsible and how that will be managed, given the fact that we're in our busy season, given the fact that we are looking at workforce changes and everybody having a day job in the very busy season, and at the same time making our strategic plan efforts. And I've talked to this before, we've got a lot of stuff going on with a few cooks, and if we need more people to do this right, then we need to know when and where and get that underway. So that's an observation. But my first question is, could you talk a bit, Mark, about, or any of the people who are involved, about the user experience for people who are using this current recommended system?
We went through an exhaustive, as Peter had mentioned, being in that process. One of the things I was really looking at was the type of clientele that the companies, the software companies, had under their belt. And when you look at Colorline, you look at Grimaldi, you look at the various companies that use it, they are the marquee names in Europe in both in RoPax operation, and that's roll-on, roll-off passenger. And what's key to that was there was an important freight component that we need to add in, and the Steamship has taken an antiquated system and has built in it, and it's amazing to me at the success they've had into developing that system, and now we're going to roll it into a modern system. Really look forward to it. I think the beneficiary of this is going to be our commercial customers. We're going to be able to, I believe, a lot of the workings that they do right now as far as getting their annual bids, et cetera, this will simplify the process, and we really look forward to developing the customer relationship development with our commercial and our passengers. I believe it's going to be a very easy transition, and look forward to that challenge ahead.
Thank you, Mark.
And Jim, to follow up on the vendor, the referrals came in very high for DAF. The people that we talked to spoke very highly of using their software. One of the vendors did another RFP just to see what was out there and chose to stay with the DAF. And I don't want to say, because we talked to them, and so that was very high. And to put in perspective, BC Ferries does 22.5 million passengers a year and about 9.5 million vehicles. Caledonia or CalMac Ferries in Scotland, they do 5 million passengers, 1.5 million vehicles a year. So they're a bigger scale than us. But the CalMac Ferry has a lot of similar programs that we do, that all the freight goes to the island. They have Islander programs, people trying to get off to go to their appointments. So it's very similar. And when talking, and I'm not going to name which vendor, with some of the vendors, their challenge is what we're going to have is what you pointed out is the change management side. It's not the software, it's getting people that I used to do it like X, now I got to do it like Y, and have the system work as the system intended. So a big thing for us during this process is to evaluate if the system can't handle it, that let's look at a policy. Is the policy still make sense? Do we need to change our policy to match what other people are doing? Or do we need a customization, which we really don't want to do many customizations?
Yeah.
And then if I could add in terms of the customer experience, this was part of the requirements. A number of requirements were based on addressing issues with the current customer experience, and the recommended vendor, because most people will see the system through a website. So the recommended vendor has web functionality that improves upon both the customer experience, addresses a number of the issues that have been brought up with the existing system, the legacy system that the steamship currently has. And then the vendor also has additional dedicated functionality to address some of the needs of commercial shippers. And so the part of the evaluation process was really looking at that, and that was part of what came through in the demo process of really seeing what is the look and feel. For instance, should the steamship decide to take the white label website that the vendor offers, it's a responsive design so that the mobile experience is aligned with the desktop experience, which will enhance the user experience of using the site.
Mr. Malkin.
Sorry, but this is so critical, and hence I'm going to keep hammering on things. And this is to any of the people who are presenting this. My experience has been that when someone hires a firm like this and buys a package like this, that it will solve 80% of the issues. And then there's going to be some customization, maybe 20% as a rule, that needs to get done to make it actually work in the individual application. Do we expect that kind of thing to happen, and are we staffed and prepared to deal with it?
Well, we're prepared for significant configuration discussions to work with the vendor. There was some level of customization proposed, which was true across all of the vendors to meet some of the specific needs of the Steamship Authority.
And we want to stay as close to the base system software as possible. That's one of the items. Configuration is good if it's something where we can configure the way the screen looks or how it flows. And we may, like Tom said, there may be some customizations. Don't know what the percentage is, but this is part of the whole change management, looking at the software and combining them into the best experience we can for our customers and our users.
I was just going to respond further to you, Jim, is that one, I think the strength of this recommendation in part is looking at the CalMac ferry system. Although they're much larger in scale, their operational profile is very much like ours, a mixture of freight, vehicle, and passengers. And so it's been a workable solution for them. And so we can point to them as this software has success in terms of the operational needs that we're looking for it. And then I know that the evaluation team, as well as the IT steering committee, has been looking at, when we talk about customization, first, we really need to hone down on what are our business operations, what business rules do we need, and then do we need a customization to address it, or do we need to adopt a better business rule?
Thank you. Agree.
And to follow up, Mr. Malkin and Peter, is that one of the things that they're follow up on the training and development fair this fall is to really put a focus on some of the IT work, is that with a new modern platform and the how easy it is to extract data, make sure we have people who can extract the data, look at the data, use the data. The platform where most modern day Excels are now pivot tables, tables, filters, to get used to going in that type of tool set versus the current normal Excel. So it'll be some training outside. We need training on the software, but also other skill sets to optimize this for employees as well.
I'd add to that too, that this software's data mart is very robust, and I think will greatly assist our operations, as well as Mark Rozum's department in terms of being more data-driven in our decision-making.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, just a comment. This has been a real trial getting to this point here. And especially trying to bring along people like myself who grew up with a pencil and paper and maybe a chalkboard. And now I got something here that I don't understand. And I still don't understand where the hell that cloud is that I keep looking for. And I don't know anything about AI. And here I'm gonna, have to vote on something that I've got complete dependence upon the staff and the people who worked on that. And I want to tell you, I have complete confidence. And I think you've done a wonderful job. I read this thing over. That I didn't understand, I just passed it off, and said AI will take care of it for me. And I just hope it's when you pick up this phone and things like that, that you understand where you're going. In other words, simple is better. And we have so many complex, programs and things within the authority from blue lines, to everything's, valet parking, ticketing, ticketing times. And I don't know how you're going to incorporate all that into a phone that somebody can just put their name in there. They can know who you are and whether you're on the street list or not, or whether you're qualified for this, or what time, that you got to report back in to get in standby. Anyways, very complicated, but I think you've done a wonderful job. I believe it or not, I do understand what you're doing. I can't put it into writing. I can't put it into verse, but the fact of the matter is, I think we've come a long way, and it was painful. But I think once it's all up and running and things like that, things are going to really come together. So thanks for your work.
Thank you. And as far as one thing that was missed is that a rollout plan. Our initial goal is to roll out the first leg of the system for the fast ferry. That's not as complicated transaction. It's a person is in the seat or isn't in the seat as compared to variables with the vehicles and the freight. Have that for the next high-speed season next April. Then start transitioning new reservations in the bulk freight reservations into the system in the summer for travel starting in October, after the October schedule transitions in. So that would be our timetable as rollout goes. And so we'd be going live with everything in the fourth quarter of 2026 is our goal. And the nice thing of that plan is with the fast ferry, if we have any tweaks the fast ferry used to be a standalone system on itself. If there's any tweaks or training, we have a smaller sample set to make the adjustments before we go full blown with the vehicles.
Okay, do we have a motion on this?
I think I made one. I think Mr. Malcolm seconded.
Great, then let's take a vote. All in favor by roll call.
Jeffrey, aye.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm, aye.
Randy, aye.
Tierney, aye.
Great.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you, team, for all this work.
I should point out as well,
Second.
Mark pointed out all the staff members that worked on it, including procurement officer Peggy Nickerson, and Terrence will be working on with the contract language with the vendor. But I also want to thank Tom and his team for during that process. I was able to sit in on a couple of those, and they kept the demos on track and on point. So thank you for that. So.
Okay, next procurement item.
All right, so for this next item is request vote of the board to authorize the general manager to execute a purchase of parts and labor required for the overhaul of one ZF reduction gear model ZF 4650 DBB for the MV INO for a quotation 138631 to ZF Gears of Fort Lauderdale, Florida for a total contract price of $158,397.38. The intent is to purchase the parts and labor to overhaul the reduction gears that are necessary for engines 1 and 3 on board that vessel. So we're seeking, the recommendation is to authorize the general manager to execute the purchase of the parts and labor to overhaul the one ZF reduction gear model ZF 4650 with ZF Gears of Fort Lauderdale, Florida, for a total contract price of $158,397.38.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor by roll call?
Jeffrey, I.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm, I.
Randy, aye.
Tierney, I.
That is approved.
All right. Next item I have is a request, vote of the board to authorize the general manager to execute purchase of parts required for the overhaul of 2 Lufkin reduction gears for the MV Sanctity per quotation 5603 with Lufkin gears of Lufkin, Texas for a total contract price of $221,200. Again, the intent is to purchase these gear parts for the reduction gear overhauls that would be conducted during the 2025 dry docking of the MV Sanctity, which will happen in the fall. The parts will, for the overhaul for the 2 reduction gears, both port and starboard. So we're seeking, the recommendation is to authorize the general manager to execute the purchase of the reduction gears for the overhaul of the MV Sanctity port and starboard reduction gears from Lufkin Gears for a total contract price of $221,200.
Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Seconded by Mr. Malkin. All in favor by roll call?
Jeffrey, I.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm, I.
Randy, aye.
Tierney, I.
All right, and I think I got one more here. The request of members authorize the general manager to approve change order CCO-097 under contract 19-2022 C motor vessel conversion, freight deck extension, associated machinery modifications, dry docking and overhaul services for the MV Monomoy to Alabama Shipyard of Mobile, Alabama, for a total contract price of $183,425. So during the conversion of the Monomoy, the Steamship Authority was required to modify the CO2 fire suppression system as a result of some of the subdivision bulkheads that were added. So the modifications were discovered in plan review that the piping system, including piping and valves, were out of compliance and required replacements. So the total cost of the parts, equipment, and labor to convert the CO2 fire suppression system to be compliant with the Coast Guard requirements is $183,425. And we're seeking authorization to approve change order CCO-097 under contract 19-2022 C for the MV Monomoy for $183,425.
Is there a motion?
So
So
moved.
moved.
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor by roll call?
Jeffrey, I.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm, I.
Randy, aye.
Tierney, I.
That is also approved.
Mhm.
Is that it for you?
That's it under procurement. The only thing they have for old and new would be, we're looking at providing additional service with the INO for Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays for the next couple of weekends. And we'll be looking at the manning for the remainder of the summer.
Okay, that's positive.
So,
How many trips would that be?
well, right now, under the crew assignment that we have right now, they could make 4 round trips in a day. This would be to add the 5th trip.
So they're gonna add that back in?
Add that back in, yes.
Public comment.
Motion Jones, aye.
Anyone wants public comment, you can hit the raise your hand icon. Or in the literal audience, you can go on up.
I just have a question on what you've agreed to do with the Sanctity for an overhaul on your transmissions. My question that you approved is that, isn't that boat going to be in the process of being sold? And if it is being sold in the next year, when you look at what you sold the last two for, do you really want to spend $250,000 on it? You might want to think about that before you actually go and do it. Thank you.
So at this point, we have not requested authorization to dispose of either the Sanctity or the Governor. Once the Monomoy arrives, we'll be looking at the complement of the fleet. And at that point, I anticipate we'd be coming back to the board with a recommendation. But it is expensive to have a spare vessel, and to have two spare vessels is that much more expensive considering the age of those vessels. So we'll be looking at an evaluation of that and making a recommendation to the board at a future time.
Maintenance, and this is part of our ISM culture. We have to perform this planned maintenance and all of our equipment to be in accordance with our certification. Just want to add that in.
Hi, I'm Diane Flaherty, year-round resident, and I also own Diane's Taxi and operate it. And this is the third time I've come here to see about utilizing the ticket office, the extra, I think you remember that, Mr. Davis, we talked about it, using the ticket little hut that you have by the fast boat, and why we're not using it. Since we do have one in Hyannis, an extra ticket office. For convenience way, I wish that it was operating. It's very busy down there at the wharf with all the boats. If there's a barge in, all our taxis, all the Ubers. We have people leaving cars down there with the Turos. People are leaving their suitcases, going up to the office, coming back down. Information wise, to get any information if it's bad weather. You know, the line over Memorial Day when the boats were canceled, trying to get information. People were loading up their luggage because the boat was going. People were inside buying tickets, coming back down and saying, well, the boat's going. And the staff was saying, no, the boat's not leaving. I just think we should have it. I don't know why it's not in operation. I don't know why it was built and put there and it sits there empty. Thank you.
Yeah, I think Allison will work with Rich and Elaine to see what the staffing situation could be for use of that booth, at least around the times that the high-speed ferry arrives.
One other thing with the parking down there, the handicap spots, there's two in the gravel lot, there's one up near the building. Could we get that updated, cleaned, repainted so it's more obvious?
Somebody's gonna say something. Beth O'Connor online.
Can you hear me? Yeah, okay. Just as an aside, the folks on the reservation group, that triggered me to have to go make a CalMat reservation for Christmas, and it's a pretty bad reservation system. So I don't know if you tried making a reservation on the one that they wrote, but it just be something that you might want to put in your investigative toolkit. Anyway, I have a quick question. And that is regarding the GM search. I noticed it wasn't on the agenda. It's really important. On the Fast Stream website, I think the post is up till the 26th of June, which is about 9 more days. I looked at the application. It was pretty vague, I guess, compared to other Fast Stream applications on there. So can we get an update on the GM search, what's happening with that? The committee hasn't met, I don't think, since May 7th. Obviously, it's very, very important. Is it possible to get an update every month on the board meeting?
Yeah, so I think just with the schedule and at that last meeting that was with Fast Stream, they were requesting about a month to be able to try to start their recruitment process. And I anticipate that there'll be a meeting scheduled of the search committee in the near future.
Thank you.
Oh, I've got no more public comment. Okay, well, in that case, I'd like to entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss and approve the minutes of the authority's meetings in executive session on May 15th, 2025, and to review the authority's strategies with respect to real estate and collective bargaining negotiations, because a public discussion of these matters may have a detrimental effect on the authority's negotiating and bargaining positions. These matters include proposed renewal of lease at 9 Technology Drive, Falmouth, with Falmouth Youth Hockey, and discussion with respect to a tentative collective bargaining agreement with MEBA's District Number 1 PCD, governing the terms and conditions of employment for the authority's licensed engineers. The public disclosure of any more information with respect to these matters would compromise the purposes for which the executive session is being called. After the conclusion of the executive session, we will reconvene in public. Again, may I have a motion?
So moved.
Moved and seconded. All in favor by roll call?
Jeffrey, I.
Jones, aye.
Knock and I.
Randy, aye.
Tierney, aye.
Thank you.
Leave this Zoom. We will leave this Zoom open. And then we'll come back to it after we're done with executive session. And Jim, Peter, and Moira emailed out a separate link for the executive session Zoom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
In 5 minutes or when?
Yeah, 5 minutes.
Okay. 12:08. Thank you.
Oh, hey. Yeah.
Ah, Jesus. No, didn't tell me anything. You guys ready? Everybody ready? Okay, welcome back to the Steamship Authority meeting of June 17th. We have reconvened in public session, and before we get going, I'd like to inform everyone that Falmouth Community Television, also known as FCTV, and Sean Driscoll, the authority's communication director, are making audio and video recordings of today's meeting. If anyone else is making an audio and video recording of today or video recording of today's meeting, please identify yourself by pressing the raise your hand icon on the Zoom dashboard, or if you're joining by telephone, by pressing *9 on your keypad. And when you are recognized, please state your name for the record.
Louisa.
Louisa Hofstadter, the Vineyard Gazette.
Thank you. Unki, are you recording? All right, well, hearing none.
Hear the name only.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so pursuant to section 20 of chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021 as amended, board members Jim Malkin, Maura Tierney, and Peter Jeffrey are participating remotely in today's meeting because their physical attendance today would be unreasonably difficult. Mr. Malkin, Mr. Jeffrey, and Ms. Tierney are participating in the meeting by the Zoom video conferencing app, and all members will be clearly audible to each other. As a result, something got left out there. All right. As a result of these members' remote participation in this meeting, any and all votes taken by the members today shall be by roll call vote.
Jones, aye.
So do we, you want to present this?
Yeah, so I guess we're seeking authorization for ratification of a tentative new collective bargaining agreement with District Number 1 PCD MEBA governing the terms and conditions of employment for the authority's licensed engineering offices as described in the staff summary. The management recommends that a vote to authorize the general manager and director of human resources to execute the new tentative collective bargaining agreement with MEBA governing the terms and conditions of employment for the authority's licensed engineers, and to take all necessary and appropriate actions to implement and fulfill the authority's obligations under the agreement.
Do we have a motion on this?
Move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion, Jones. Motion made and seconded. All in favor, please, by roll call.
Jeffrey, aye.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm, I.
Randy, aye.
Tierney, aye.
That is approved.
All right, thank you. And next we have, I'm sorry, trying to find the paperwork here. Here we go. Next item is to request that the members approve the proposed 2025 wage and salary program for the authority's non-union employees, which consists of approximately 100 employees. The wage and salary program that we have is typically effective July 1st of each year. And it's in this, for the non-union group, it's contingent upon the outcome of their annual evaluations of the employees. We do have a report from Willis Towers Watson, which is a prominent global advisory firm specializing in employee compensation, with their recommendation of a salary structure adjustment of 2.9% and overall merit increase of 3.5%. In addition to that, we've provided the board with the 2024 Cape Cod Commission study on the housing in Cape Cod, the regional strategy, and the purpose of the report was for regional planning and strategic plan. And as part of our strategic planning, management staff has reviewed the report as a tool that we have to evaluate the current non-union wage scales and with the goal of understanding the impacts of the housing market will have on our employees. And one of the guiding principles of the report is to support year-round population by promoting a vibrant year-round community in housing with the housing challenges that we have. Also in your packet is a report from the Housing Assistance Corporation about the Cape Cod housing problem. And the report in it states that the low wages, high costs, lack of choice and mobility within the market limits the supply of both home ownership units and year-round rentals, and increasing demand for seasonal and retired housing has on the housing market for the Cape and Islands. So it's key. One of the key findings was that the household incomes must earn $210,000 annually, and the medium home sales far exceeds the medium household income. So we've provided that information as part of this for the non-union group. And to that end, what we're looking for is that for the members back in 2024, the members voted to provide a 5% salary increase for the non-union group. And then in August of 2024, the members voted to provide an additional 5% increase for non-union personnel, but the vote excluded some employees from this cost of living increase. Accordingly, the average wage increase for non-union employees between 2020 and 2024 increased between 2.6 and 4.1%, while some other of the non-union personnel increased by 2.6 to 3.1% for some of the others. So in light of the housing, in light of the housing and cost of living challenges for all the Cape and Islands residents currently face, the essential nature of the support and managerial services that the authority's non-union personnel provide the authority, and statutory mandated year-round operations, management seeks a salary adjustment of 3% and a total merit increase of 4% for a total of 7% increase for the authority's non-union personnel. In addition, for those non-union personnel who did not receive a cost of living adjustment in 2024, that a similar adjustment to be considered by the board.
So we're looking for 7% and an adjustment. The adjustment we made with the other non-union was on August was 5%, correct?
5%, but it didn't cover leadership.
Yeah, okay, so to put that on a par, that would make a 12% increase if we just, added that 5% in there, so you would be level with everybody else.
Right, and we're not advocating that additional 5% is for everyone. It's just to adjust those ones that it didn't impact last year, or it did impact by not receiving it.
Okay, so whatever that group is,
yes,
that will be, are we going up 7% and then plus to give them the 5%?
They'd be eligible for the whatever it is for the group this year, and then if the board so chooses to adjust that group as well, yes, it would be another 5%. But it's also based on a annual review. So it's not a blanket across the board. This is what you get. It's based on their review, where they fit within their salaries, their structure and their grade. And years of service all play into this. So it's a range that ends up being, even for all the non-union group. This is the way that the program works. It's based on a scale, a matrix that we have for, if you receive a good review and you're at the lower end of your salary grade, you get a little higher percentage than someone who gets a okay review and is at the high end of their salary range. So okay,
but can we consider first of all a 7% increase
across the board for
on
average? Yes.
Somebody said something.
Yeah.
And so now we gotta, basically, do we need to do a review? Before we,
Fine, but I
determine
can't
what
do it right now.
the
You'll have to
difference
come
is.
later.
So the review for the non-union groups, those are done by, they're done by their supervisors. And then that's put together by Human Resources, and we look at that, the matrix, and again, we update the, if this is, or, if this ends up being approved, we'd adjust their salary structure accordingly, and then adjust the, look at where, based on their review, where they fit within the salary structure and what would be the appropriate adjustment within the parameters of what the board approves.
Okay, and I guess you don't want to say by name what that each person is, or just that group, which is fine by me, but I just want to know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, so this other group that I pointed out is that back in August of last year, when the board voted to have the additional 5% as the adjustment, at that point, the wording of the motion had been that it excluded senior leadership. So the senior staff, by and large, was excluded from that additional amount.
So what we're approving is senior staff.
For
But
that,
we
for
should
that
be
additional,
approving.
for that additional 5%, if that's the,
All right.
if that's what the vote would be.
So we've got 7% as a base.
Yeah.
And now we've got 5% that if we decide to give that meritorious raise, then everybody would be on a, statistically and balanced a par value or increase. So in other words, it would kind of put you back in the game again.
Right, for the senior staff. And this, I should point out, this excludes myself. And that's why I'm presenting this.
Well, I'll just go and make a motion that that we approve the 7% across the board as we had with everybody. And to put this senior staff and group a 5% meritorious increase.
So there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second to that motion? Mr. Malkin, Mr. Jeffrey, did you have a question?
Yeah, I just want to clarify my understanding of the recommendation. So if we approve this motion, there'll be a 2.93% cost of living adjustment across all non-union personnel that is not discretionary. Is my reading of that is correct? And then there would be 4% available for all non-union personnel based upon our performance metrics for their supervisors to further increase their salaries based upon our merit performance plan. And then for the senior staff, which was previously excluded, that merit portion is 9% rather than 4%. Am I reading the recommendation correctly?
That would be correct.
Okay. So the real cost is 3% plus whatever happens after the discretion from the merit. Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Malkin.
Yeah, just since I seconded the motion and I'm pretty familiar, I just want to make sure that everybody understands that what we're doing here is we are, as we had committed to do in the past, bringing our non-union people into line with the increases that will be going to our union staff, and we'll deal with the issues that have been raised in the past about the Steamship Authority's ability to retain, recruit, and keep talent to serve our mission of serving the public. And I think it's important for everybody to understand is in the high cost environment in the Cape and the islands, these are the kinds of things we have to do to keep our operation at as high a quality and as reliable as we can possibly get. So thank you for this.
Okay.
What do we do?
Go ahead, Ms. Tierney.
May I ask a question? What do we do about senior staff who hasn't received performance evaluations?
The senior staff would be receiving performance evaluations. I'm not sure.
But you're not included in that, correct?
Yeah, so again, the proposal that's before you is for the non-union personnel excluding myself. And
Are you the only one excluded?
I'm the only one that's excluded, yes,
And you didn't get a raise last year, right?
that's correct.
So what are we doing about you?
I believe Ms. Kenefick sent out a review form for the board and port council to consider, you know, the annual review of my performance, and there'll be I'm not sure what the schedule would be in terms of when the board would be comfortable bringing that forward.
What about your 3%?
Whether that would be as part of that review of my performance.
But that's not tied to performance for anybody else, correct?
Correct.
So why should it be tied to performance for you?
I guess that'd be a decision that the board would have to make as to how they'd like to address my situation in light of it. Again, foremost, I was looking at the staff and the non-union personnel, as part of our non-union personnel program. And again, I think Janice, as I said, has sent it out for. Typically, this is the time of year where the general manager's review would also take place.
So, I mean, are we not having a general manager's review? I'm confused.
Hold on.
If I can butt in here a little bit, the general manager's review isn't on the agenda right now, Maura.
I understand that.
And I think as Bob said, we have to work with the chairman to get that onto the agenda.
Mm-hmm.
I think we have to set that schedule. I think that's the intent. My recommendation would be that we talk about getting that on the agenda and then moving that to a later date, perhaps the next meeting or the meeting after that, or however the chairman and the senior staff work that out. But I think that's definitely something that needs to be discussed.
Clarification purposes, I just wanted to make you, I had provided Bob the goals for the general manager, not the evaluation form. So that based on what Terrence just spoke about, I will get that form off, the evaluation form itself. But you all should have the goals. If you do not, I'd be happy to resend them.
That's fine. I know you asked, about whether people were interested in filling that out, and I basically answered and said if everybody else was. That a lot has confused the issue from a year ago today. And the change, with Bob's contract, the signing of a new contract, the board really, nobody seemed to be much interested in making a performance curve when we just, approved a contract, for the coming season. And I don't know what value would be if we're gonna do it, you know, I want it. I want to at least have a summary of results. Usually you put in you know, your accomplishments and things of the year, and whatever. It's kind of I guess if we just followed what we should follow is to make, you know, go with a review.
I think, Bob, again, I hate to interrupt, but this isn't on the agenda. So can get some open meeting law concerns with that.
Terry, I can't hear you.
I'm sorry, I just have some open meeting law concerns because the GM review is not on the agenda right now. So
Which one?
it's not on the agenda, Bob's review. So
Okay.
what I'm asking you is that we refrain from this until we get it on the,
Okay.
so I would just ask that we refrain from talking about it until we move it onto the agenda. We have to work with Mr. Malkin, who's the chair, to get the agenda set. And we can do that, but I think that's a topic and agenda item for another day.
Okay, so we're bifurcating, you know, the non-union.
So
part of
the
this?
non-union compensation consideration has always been done separately from the GM. We just didn't put it on the agenda for today, Bob's review. So again, if we're going to have that discussion, it has to be done in public. It has to be set on the agenda, and we have to do the evaluative process, and we have to have that discussion as to how we go forward with that. So for the purposes of today's meeting, it's not on the agenda. So I'm just interrupting because I want to make sure that we're in compliance with the open meeting law.
Let me just ask you the question here that we have the, you know, the non-union agreement, which I had made a motion for, and that's for all, so that would include Bob. Now we're talking about, you know, whether or not the difference of the 5%. Is that correct?
The proposal that's before you is everyone except myself.
Well, but I thought I said, you know, including yourself, and you said yes.
No,
I thought that too.
This is,
So let's just say you're not here.
we're not, yeah, this does not cover my own situation.
Okay, so let's vote on what we can vote on, and which was, you know, the 7.5.
Right, so right now,
Huh?
so right now, Mr. Rainey, we have a motion to approve by Mr. Jones and a second by Mr. Malkin.
Yeah.
It is before the board right now.
Okay.
Any further
Can you
discussion?
spell out the exact terms on that motion, please, Mr. Keneally?
Sure, so the motion before the board, as I think Mr. Jeffrey actually articulated very well, was there's the 2.9 for the adjustment in the wage ranges, for lack of a better term. Then this consideration for, I think, I don't have the exact number in front of me, Bob, 4.6%, I think it was.
4.1.
4.1, thank you. Consideration for merit increases, which would be factored into the evaluative process, Moira.
Yeah.
And then there's a second component to it, which is consideration for those folks who didn't share in the cost of living adjustment last year in 2024 as to whether or not they can get that cost of living adjustment included this year.
Does that last component include or not include Bob?
It does not, it does not, because again, that's the compensation for the general manager is done separately from the non-union group.
Okay.
All right.
Any further discussion or questions? Okay, all in favor by roll call.
Well, wait a minute.
Oh, hold on.
I had made a motion, and, you know, I will be happy to withdraw that motion before you go into this new one. If for the second to do it.
It was seconded, Bob. The motion was seconded
It
already.
was seconded.
He can withdraw it. I made a motion, it was seconded. You either got to vote it up, or I can withdraw it and ask Peter to withdraw it, and then we'll go on for the, you know, for the non-union agreement.
Mr. Jones is concerned because his motion included Bob.
Oh, I didn't appreciate that. I did not. Okay, so I would recommend that you withdraw it because we
Correct.
can't take up GM compensation today.
Correct. So please withdraw your motion.
Hmm?
Please withdraw your motion.
Jim would have to withdraw his second as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
I withdraw
No,
my second.
whoever, oh, Jim seconded, I'm sorry. Yeah, Jim. I'm withdrawing the motion. Do you want to withdraw the second?
So
I am
just to be,
withdrawing the second, yes.
all right, so just to be clear for the record, Mr. Jones originally moved to approve the compensation proposal with the understanding that Mr. Davis was involved or included in that. Now with the clarification, do you just wish to withdraw that portion as it pertains to Mr. Davis, Bob? And otherwise approve the non-union compensation as presented?
Do you want to keep the main portion of your motion?
Yes, my problem is I can't hear.
I can't help you with that, Bob.
I'm gonna be, and that's not helping to this meeting. I'm going to New Bedford to get new hearing aids tomorrow. But, anyways.
Maybe
I
Mr. Annie could help you out with that.
Terrence, if I may, do you think it's just clean, if
We could just withdraw the whole motion.
If Mr. Miss Jones wants to withdraw the whole motion, I'm happy to make another motion.
Okay,
with the- as
let's go in that
clarified.
direct. That's a good suggestion, Peter. Let's go with that direction, please.
So you need to withdraw your motion.
That's what I tried to do.
Okay.
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 So Mr. Jones has withdrawn his motion. I believe Mr. Malkin is also withdrawn.
Yep,
his-
okay.
I thought I made it
Yep.
clear that I want to withdraw it,
Yep.
and then if Jim withdraws his second, we're going to go.
We're
first.
there. We're there. Mr. Jeffrey, go ahead.
Go ahead,
All
Mr.
right.
Jeffrey.
I will make the motion to accept the staff recommendation as to non-union personnel compensation. And I don't know, Terrence, if you need to restate it, but as in our board packet.
Okay, I think that's sufficient and clear as to
Pretty
what it
clear.
is.
Is there a second?
Yes.
Seconded by Mr. Malkin. All in favor by roll call, please.
Jeffrey, I.
Jones, aye.
Malcolm, I.
Randy, aye.
Tierney, aye.
Beautiful.
And that's,
Okay, that's all we have. So I will entertain a motion to adjourn, please.
So move.
Second,
Motion's made and seconded. All in favor by roll call.
Jones, aye.
Jeffrey, I.
Mr. Malkin,
Joe, sorry, I didn't hear Bob this time. Malcolm, I.
Randy, aye.
who's
Ms.
Mr.
Tierney.
Joe? Tierney, aye.
okay.
Okay,
All right.
we're adjourned. Thank you
Thank you,
very
everyone.
much.
Thank you, everyone. Nice to see everybody.
Good to see you.
Take care.
Safe travels,
Thank you.
Mr. Jeffrey.